Welcome to Peck Brothers Off-Road.
We're trying to rig up moto-built fronts onto the rear.
Plus, we've got a wheeling trip in California next week. So we pulled the old tow rig out and it was dumping oil everywhere. And we're pouring the footings on the new Peck Brothers Headquarters.
This Peck Brothers tow rig is actually my truck. But it's kind of the Peck Brothers tow rig because Brady found me a screaming deal on it a couple of months ago. It's a 2002 Power Stroke 7.3, the good old reliable. She's a white crew cab short bed, never gave up on us. A day after we bought it, we towed both Jeeps down to Moab with it, but it sprung a terrible oil leak the other day.
We started to think it was the turbo pedestal O-rings because they're super common to go out on these trucks, and we've changed a million of them. But we started it and we were watching, and just below the valve cover, there was a steady stream of oil pouring down towards the back of the motor. So it's something up high. We just got to dig into it and see what's leaking. There's an oil feed tube that goes into the head to feed the injectors right here. So we'll have to take both relays out, pull these harnesses back, and we'll be able to see if that's what's leaking because it looks like that's where it's coming from.
This little fitting here supplies high pressure oil into the head, which runs the injectors. This line comes directly from the high pressure oil pump. You reach in here and wiggle it, and it looks like this fitting is loose. So we're gonna start it up with the camera on it.
You guys tell us if that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
Sure. We're gonna start it. We're gonna see if oil comes out of that. If that's a problem, we just need a new STC fitting. You can see that the oil's coming out of the bottom fitting in there. That's our issue. As soon as the oil warms up, it's so thin that it sneaks right past and it's draining like crazy. But now the oil's cold, which is why it's only seeping out. But that's our problem.
There might be a little crush sleeve underneath it. It's been a while since we've torn into one of these motors. So hopefully we tighten it up and it fixes it and we're on the road. I thought we were gonna have to pull the turbo off today, but we got lucky. Well, hopefully we got lucky.
This was seriously hand tight. I put the wrench on it and I could have done it with my fingers.
I'd leak oil too if I was that loose. So we're gonna pull it off and see if there's an O-ring or a crush sleeve underneath it.
A few moments later.
So it turns out that there is an O-ring on the bottom of this thing. Does it look like it's good? It looks good.
It looks good, but I've replaced it.
What are you talking about? I don't have an extra $1 to go get a new O-ring.
If that's 30 cents, that means we can't get another 5 for $5.
Yeah, there's no way. I gotta
or
eat.
$5 biggie bag.
I've gotta eat dinner this week. I can't buy a new O-ring.
We'll just make it out of silicone.
That's a good idea.
In Brady's toolbox.
We'll just put some Loctite on it. All right, well, let's go get a new O-ring, throw it back together and see if it fixes it. I got a whole, let's see here. I got a whole Harbor Freight thing of O-rings in here. Alex was just going through his toolbox and he literally has one. That's what you get when you're constantly working on these trucks.
I think this was when we bulletproofed.
Where'd they come from?
When we bulletproofed that 6.0. Pretty sure we forgot to put an O-ring in.
It didn't leak.
No, and it's sold.
Just had a little bit of a boost issue.
Yeah, we're good. That's funny.
That is funny.
We got exactly what we need. We're gonna throw this back on that, tighten her up, and see if she leaks. Just like new.
Just like new.
Hopefully this fitting don't leak now.
Should we clean it off?
No.
Don't worry about it.
It's gonna get dirty within 2 minutes being in this truck anyways.
It's got an oil filter, it's fine.
Speaking of that, have you ever changed it?
Oh yeah, I changed it right when I got it.
60,000 ago?
Yeah. I'm gonna be stoked if that's all that it is.
I bet it is.
I was fully anticipating having to pull this turbo off because it's always a pedestal O-ring that makes these stupid things leak.
I bet that's leaking too, but
Oh, I'm sure it's got a little leak. We can handle that. I couldn't put oil in it fast enough. That's when I start addressing the leak, is when I can't put oil in it fast enough.
oh, what does this get torqued to?
This is, I want to say that's like 100 inch-pounds. That feels like,
Yep.
that's 100 inch-pounds-ish.
These snap-on torque wrenches are pretty cool.
I don't see it leaking.
You did all right for a couple of goofballs.
Well, hope that fixed it.
No kidding. We finally got something done around here. That's a great feeling.
We don't know if that fixed it.
Well,
We're just putting good vibes out that it did.
we might not have fixed the oil leak, but we sure as heck slowed it down.
Later.
Now that it's cooled down a little bit and it's somewhat nice to be outside,
We're in the trenches.
we're gonna do some footings, huh, Braid?
That's right. We got a lot of short forms, not enough long ones, so we're just tying them all together. It's gonna look like a Tetris piece down here, but footings don't have to be beautiful. They just
Nope.
gotta be flat.
Flat, they probably won't be. They'll be crooked because we did them.
We'll show you guys what these footings do and why we're doing them.
So in Idaho, where we live, we have to have a 20-inch wide, 10 inches tall footing, and this is filled with concrete all the way with 2 number 4 rebar all the way around the whole entire perimeter to tie everything together. What we got to do is form them up, place stakes around so they don't blow out when we put the concrete in, and this is sitting on non-touch soil, so we couldn't dig too deep and say whoops. It all had to be perfectly grade.
And as soon as these are poured and dried and done, then on top of these can sit the foundation walls that the actual walls of the shop are gonna be attached to.
And we're just gonna keep working. We don't have very much left to do till we put some rebar in here. So let's get it done.
What happened here, Braid?
I don't really want to talk about that.
That don't look good.
That's standard issue.
I was just digging and found that.
It came like that.
As I dug into the neighbor's Wi-Fi line. Well, yeah, I had to go fix this late on Sunday night.
Wow.
So that's my fix-it job for now.
At least it's fixed.
It's temporary, but it works. The Wi-Fi works.
So it turns out you did all those wrong?
Pretty much.
That's weird. I thought we were known to only do stuff once.
No, heck no. We do stuff right every time.
If you do it twice or 3 times, you know that it's done right. That's normally what we do. Here.
This is where science comes into it.
We have a nifty transit.
See that thing up there?
It's got a laser, it self-levels itself, and then it sends a laser perfectly level around. Every time that laser comes around and touches this, it gets a signal, it'll beep. Right here, we know exactly where flat all the way around the shop's gonna be. So
we can make these footings perfectly level.
I hold it up here to about where it needs to be. And Caleb hits it down, right there. That's it. Then it starts to slowly beep. That means it's just a tiny bit low.
Means
when you're
it's
only
plenty
talking
close enough.
this much.
Tomorrow.
We're back up here at Brady's house working on Alex's Jeep. We're trying to get these rear corners figured out, and they're actually a really tough thing on a 2-door JK. Nobody really makes a blank corner for them for whatever reason. I guess there's few people trying to do what we're trying to do with them, so we have to make them. And yesterday, we went over to Metal Mart. We had them shear us a couple of pieces of plate steel. And there's a lot of custom work that's gonna have to go into getting them to work on the back of his Jeep.
So I got the sheet metal in place and I put the Moto Belt rocker armor up there, and this is where I'll cut out for that. This is where it meets, and then I'll come back here. I trace this, cut that out for the door. Once that's cut out, I'll put it back up. Not bad for a guy with a grinder.
I'm pretty sure the next step is cutting this wheel well out, isn't it?
Yeah, putting the fender on and
Putting the fender
cutting
on,
it.
mocking it up.
The problem is we need to put this back corner piece on and welded. So then we know how far we can put that fender flare back.
So we need to get this edge here first.
Yep, so that's step number 2. But we got that all cut out with a grinder. It's not the prettiest, but it'll do.
That's a tough cut with a grinder.
Yeah, you can't even get the grinder in there, so that was with a file. But it's coming,
She'll
so
work.
we'll move on to step 2. Believe it or not, we're actually making progress.
We got it mocked up into place, and it's time to lay some bubble gum.
It is, huh? Our cuts, we've had better, but that ain't nothing that a welder can't fix.
No, heck, that's why they made welders.
What?
Plus, right here, it's gonna get cut like this anyways, so this don't even matter. So why don't you bubble gum that puppy in and we'll throw a flare up on there. This is what it's gonna look like. We put the fender up on there so we know where to cut the wheel well out. And we positioned it kind of symmetrical at the front. We put the tire where it needs to be. This is about 2 inches farther forward than the axle is. So now I can pretty much cut this out. We can bolt the flare on. We're gonna take and cut this shorter so it goes in there. Grind this down, put the bolts in, and we're done.
One eternity later.
So he just got everything ground smooth and done. It looks so good. We were not able to get concrete in time to pour the footings in this video. We did get most of what we wanted to done though. Alex's corners are on and they look awesome. We pretty much slowed down my oil leak to about a frisbee size puddle every time I park. And we got these formed up, ready to go. So that's a success. Next week, we will be in California, finally doing some wheeling. For everybody wondering about Brady's LJ, that's kind of been on the back burner to try and get this shop done. So hopefully we will have a nice, warm, big place to work on it through the wintertime. This shop has also taken precedence over the bus, which is a sad deal. But as soon as this thing's done, we'll be able to work on anything and everything, no matter the time of year, and we'll be able to enjoy doing it. So everybody, please thank Brady for being willing to put his Jeep on the back burner and being willing to make such a sacrifice for us to have a place to do what we love. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Thank you so much for watching Peck Brothers Off-Road. Headquarters. And we're pouring the footings on the Peck Brothers Headquarters. New headquarters. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you gotta yell it though. And we're pouring the footings on the new Peck Brothers.
No, I gotta say new headquarters. So you say something to where I can say new headquarters.
Oh, okay. And we're pouring the footings. And we're pouring the footings on the Peck Brothers.
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, say it again.
Really? And we're pouring the